So from the second quarter of the year to the third quarter of the year, there was is it simultaneous? No, a consecutive. Please, what's this word? So another thing you need to learn when you're going to write your IELTS, look for comparison words. Simultaneous, consecutive. Let me see, I think I wrote some of them down here. Where are they? So
there's a fluctuation there.
Either there's fluctuation, consecutive. No, I mean words that depict increase or decrease, comparison, contrasting, differences. Look for such words. Use them. Make sure you use those words. Don't say this one went up. Please don't say that thing in your exam. This this thing went up, or this one went up. Please don't say that. Say there was a sharp increase, there was a sharp decrease, there was a simultaneous means they're happening at the same time. They increased simultaneously, they reduced simultaneously, there was a lateral, there was a horizontal. Use these words to depict direction, differences, changes. Go and look for comparison words on your dictionary and learn how to use them. Use them when you're practicing. This writing thing is not so difficult, trust me. It's just, and there's no right or wrong answer. They just want to know how you're able to explain. See, sometimes, and when you're looking at something, you know what it means, but you don't know how to say it. They want you to break that boundary of, or they want you to break that bound of, I'm looking at this thing, I know what I'm seeing, but how to put it inside English and form good sentences and present, that will be your problem. So you need to practice that, learn those words, and always, okay, fine. So let's continue. From here, we're using the same example. From the second quarter to the third quarter, there was a steady decrease or a constant decrease or a sharp decrease, depending on how you want to say, back. Now look at it. It almost went back to how it was in the first quarter. You can say at this third quarter, the rate of unemployment in Australia went back to the same level, it was at the beginning of the year. You can say full stop there and say, this could have been as a result of interference by the government of Australia, who might have put in some factors to battle the unemployment rate at that level or at that third quarter. Do you understand? You can bring in, this is what I think happened at this point. This is why this thing might have reduced. This is why this thing might have increased. I've never looked at this. I'm just saying from my mind. This was how I wrote my own. I'm just telling the truth. In my own time, I think ours was about, price of ice cream or price of something in a school, no, in a country, in UK, no, it was in US. So the price of something in different states in US from this time to this time, what happened to the price at this time of the year in this state, in that state. That one is even, sometimes they'll give you different states or different groups, different years. Sometimes it can be complicated, sometimes it can be very simple. It depends on what you see in the exam, but you need to be ready for anything. Practice, 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 and always learn how to compare. Now, you can also say in the second, what I want you to do is, as you're comparing, compare side by side. Compare the urban area and the rural area in this instance. In other instances, compare the two groups at the same time. In the second quarter, in the urban area of Australia, we said that there was a sharp increase in the unemployment rate from about 2% to 4%. This might have been as a result of blah, 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 blah. That's what you're suggesting. However means that on the opposite side, or in contrast, in the rural area in second quarter, or in this same quarter in the rural areas, the unemployment rate decreased. As you can see, it went from 7 to 4. You can say almost getting to the point of, or to the level of unemployment in the urban areas. If you can think of any reason at that point, you can mention it. If not, please stop there so you don't put yourself in trouble. We've compared those two. Now, in the third quarter, you said that you can see that in the urban areas, in the third quarter, there was a sharp decrease in the rate of unemployment from 4% to about 2%, which was almost what it was at the beginning of the year. However, in the rural areas, the opposite was the case. There was a slight increase from 4.5% to a little bit above 5%. This increase was not as significant, or this change was not as significant as it was in the urban areas. Remember, the urban area went from like 4 down to like 3, which was a big change, though they're in opposite direction. Always compare, make it interesting. Even if someone is not seeing the graph, if they read what you're writing, can they picture that graph? Can they picture what you're explaining? Now, you look at, we are at the third quarter. You can see that in the rural area, now there's a slight steadiness here. You can say that in the rural areas, the change was not, between the third quarter and the fourth quarter in the rural areas, the change was not too significant. You can now explain. By the middle of the third and fourth quarter, there was almost a steadiness of unemployment rate, which was not very significant. And by the end of the fourth quarter, it came down to 5%. However, in the urban area, we see the sharpest increase from third quarter to the end of fourth quarter, which went from 2% to 5%. So we are saying from here, 2% here to 5% here. But at the middle, there were some fluctuations, like someone said, there were some fluctuations. This could have been caused by a lot of other reasons. If you can think of any reason, you put. If you cannot, you leave it there. Now, at the end of the fourth quarter, or at the end of 2012, the rate of unemployment between rural areas and urban areas almost came. So this word equilibrium, always you can use it in place of there was a steadiness or whatever, there was an equilibrium around here. So by the end of 2012, the rate of unemployment among the rural and urban areas were almost at the same level of 5%. Then your last paragraph could be, in summary, always use in summary so they know you're summarizing. In summary, there were drastic differences between the rate of unemployment at the beginning of 2012 in Australia. But by the end of 2012, the rate of unemployment reduced in the rural areas while it increased in urban areas. And these two areas had almost the same rate of unemployment by the end of 2012. You finish writing your test 1. Now, how can you count your words? You don't count your words by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's something you say, words per line, WPL, the total line in secondary school. So I'm using my book as an example. You know your handwriting. Everybody's handwriting is different. It might be big or small. So you count. There's something we call an average, right? So each line of your book has an average number of words you can write. Now count 3 lines. So in this first line, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 words. Second line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So I have 5, 7, 6. 3 of them, add them. 5 plus 6 is 11 plus 7 is 18. Divide by 3. I want to find the average. 3 times 7, 20 times 6, 18. So my average is 6 words per line. That is what my handwriting can contain. In a line, you're having an average of 6 words. So divide 150 by 6. Someone should do it. 150 by 6. That should be 12, 2, 13, 14, 15, 3, 6, 13, 5, 15, 7, 6. That should be 20.
25.
25. So you're targeting 25 lines. So that book they will give you, IELTS book is very wide, honestly. So it might contain up to 11 words, depending on how your handwriting is. So that's why I said depending on the book, use it to calculate. For this book, now if I'm writing 150 words, I'm targeting 25 lines. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. So don't be in exam hall like accounting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The minimum is 150. You can write 200, whatever. But trust me, by the time you put all 150 words is not too much. It is not too much. It's not too much. By the time you write all these things, you'll be the one that will start cleaning. So that is that. So for your writing too, this is so for general and academics, your writing task 1 is usually the same. Graph, pie chart, bar chart, but the second writing is where the difference comes in. If you're writing general, they ask you to write a letter. I'm not going to teach you how to write letter. Letter is letter. Though what you're writing is a formal letter or informal, I don't know. I didn't write general, but I know it's a letter. They'll tell you to write an application. You're looking for a job somewhere, write an application or write a letter to your uncle, something. You shall write letter. When writing academics, they would give you a topic. Okay, let's see this one. Writing task 2. This one says writing task 2. Where is it? Okay, so this one is 250 words. This one is academics, okay? Some people think that students should study the science of food and how to prepare it. Others think that school time should be used in learning important subjects. Discuss both views and give your opinion. This task 2 is always going to, they'll tell you, it's like opposing emotion like you do in hello panel of judges. I'm here to propose and oppose. Is usually what they do in task 2. They will give you a question or a debate question. These people think this, these people think that. Discuss and tell us what you think. Also target 5 paragraphs. The first paragraph, you introduce the topic as usual. Introduce the topic and what you're going to discuss. Remember to use your own words. Paragraph 2, support the first motion. Explain the first motion and support it. Give reasons. Now you're going to give reasons why you think these people are supporting this. For instance, some people think that students should study the science of food and how to prepare it. It is obvious that some students think that food and how to prepare food should be studied in schools rather than studying subjects. These students or these people have their reasons for believing or having this opinion, which could include 1, please target at least 3 reasons. That's how you make it up to 250 words. One reason might be that, so you can say at this point, people are eating a lot of junk food. So students should learn how to prepare proper meals in school, because this is one of the reasons, because they don't teach them in school and they spend most of their time in school, they might not have time to learn from their parents. So they should teach them how to cook food at home so that the rate of junk food eating will reduce. That is one reason people might think that learning science of food or whatever is important. Number 2, you can give another reason. Number 3, you can give another reason. Try to give to at least 2 or 3 reasons. You do that, then your third paragraph would be, on the other hand. Always start it with on the other hand. Take this down. On the other hand, other people think that school time should be used in learning important subjects. Some of the reasons could include, people don't go to school for learning how to cook, except you are going there to study food management or food whatever. You're going there to learn how to become a doctor. So schools should focus on subjects that concerns your career. Okay, that is one. You discuss it, give your reasons, give another reason. Now please always don't choose sides. When you're writing this IELTS, do not choose sides. Now in your 4th paragraph, you say, judging from these people's perspective and these people's perspective, these people are right because of these their reasons, which shows this. These people are also right because of these their reasons, which shows this. However, or summarizingly, children should be taught how to learn, or they should be taught important subjects such as biology, blah, blah, blah. In addition, they should also be taught the science of food. Do not choose sides. in IELTS writing. Don't choose sides. Support both sides. Don't choose sides, please. Support both sides. We will go over that is for writing. For listening, you shall have to listen because for listening, once they say they've said it, another thing I will tell you for listening is do not dwell on an answer. Don't write and use pencil because once they say that thing, they will not repeat it. And once they've passed, see, another tip I will tell you is that there's no answer in listening, IELTS listening that will take over 10 seconds. If you're waiting like this, waiting for an answer, you're listening, they're having conversation, you're not right, you've not seen the answer, just know that they've passed it since. In fact, they've passed 3 or 4 more answers. No answer would take more than 10 seconds for them to say it. So how, I can't play, I don't know if it is necessary to play it here, but how it works is you'll be listening to people's conversation. The first one is usually maybe someone is trying to book a hotel or someone is trying to ask for address or to make reservations. You start with, it might be a phone call. Hello, my name is this, blah, blah, blah. So your eyes will be on your paper with your pencil ready to write. You see the option. So I leave at another thing IELTS does that is crazy is always be careful when you're listening. This person might say, okay, what's your address? On your answer sheet, you're seeing number dash Ikenebu Street. You're looking for the number of that address. And the person that is making this phone call say, okay, I live at number 20 Ikenebu. Oh, and if you're too fast, you write that 20 and jump. The person will be like, oh, sorry, not 20, it's actually 30. So sometimes they can make a mistake and come back and correct. They want to deceive you, but you have to be very careful. One, you have to be fast. Don't take your eyes off your book. Your eyes should be glued to your book until that exam ends. If you don't hear any question, move on. Move on. In fact, one thing that happens is you might even skip a question. You think you did not hear it, but then you just hear something and oh, this is actually for this one. So one thing that will help you in your listening, I can't teach you listening. Listening is your thing, your personal thing. Practice listening. You have to use this IELTS test. They are free, so many free tests. Actual IELTS people have written here. Use it and do your test. Then also use clues. Clues when you look at your book before the exam starts, they'll give you your answer sheet. Just scan through it, look for what they're asking for. Also, they might give you an image. They'll start describing that image. Go and learn direction. On the east side, what is east? On the south, on the northern side of this, if it's a building, so on the southern side, if you don't know what southern side is, you go and write something else. So just take your time. You can just browse east, west, north, and south, learn directions. Opposite this, what is opposite? What is adjacent? They use all these words in describing things. They'll tell you adjacent the cathedral. You're saying cathedral labeled. What if you don't know what adjacent is? You're going to write another thing. Adjacent the cathedral is the building where the children would, do and go and do. That is that. So let's go to speaking, which is the last thing we're going to talk about. This thing has taken too much time already. So for your speaking IELTS, you're going to do your speaking 2 days before or after the other ones. Your speaking is not the same day you're going to do the other ones. So for me, I did my speaking on a Tuesday and took the other ones on Thursday. That's 2 days later. So for the speaking, I want you to practice introducing yourself. 1, always keep eye contact. If you like be speaking grammar and you're looking down or you're looking up or you're looking sideways, look at the examiner because the examiner will be staring into your soul, stare into their soul as well and smile. So how IELTS speaking works is semi-formal, is not formal, is not informal, is semi-formal. You're not going for a job interview and you're not talking to your best friend. Assume you're talking to a lecturer. You went to a lecturer's office and you're like, ma, good afternoon, ma. You're respectful, but at the same time, you're not too, my name is this, I'm from here. No, you're not so official, but you're not so playful. So see that you're talking to your lecturer, a lecturer that you like, that likes you, okay? You're their friend, you guys are gisting, but then you also know that you have to respect yourself and respect them. So that's the way I see it. That's the way you should see it. So make eye contact, smile. When you enter the hall, don't sit down. Allow them to ask you to sit down. Please don't go there and carry sit down, sit down. When you enter, they'll tell you sit down. Or you ask them, please, may I sit? Don't just go there, carry sit down, sit down. You see, they will tell you to sit down, or you ask them, if they forget, ask them, please, may I sit? They'll tell you to sit down. And please don't change your accent. Don't go and be forming funny, even if the person is forming funny, because the woman that interviewed me, she started with funny at the point she could not maintain it. She went back to a Nigerian accent. Don't form funny. Use your normal accent, because they understand it's Black people, it's not white men, it's Black people. And depending on where you're writing, you might meet a white man, but basically it's Nigerians that are going to ask you questions. And also smile, don't be scared, sit down there, cross your leg, just keep your hand on the table, don't fold your hand, or keep your hand on the table, or you keep it on your laps, however, but just be respectful, sure. Maintain eye contact. Remember, have this in mind, it's better they stop you. It's better they say, okay, thank you, than for you to stop before your time, because every question has time. If they ask you, please introduce yourself or tell me about yourself, they might give you 1 minute. They won't tell you. They record everything. You see them with that recorder, is this size, is black. They'll press it and say you can start. If you stop before that your 1 minute, she'll be waiting. And the thing is, until that your time elapses, they won't talk. So if you stop before that time, two of you will be looking at yourself like this in the hall. Once the time stops, they will continue. So keep on talking until your time stops. Just keep on talking. So practice introducing yourself. Tell me about yourself. My name is this. And if they say introduce yourself or tell me about yourself, don't just tell them your name. Tell me about yourself. What is your name? Where do you live? What do you do? How old are you? If there's still time, tell them about your family, where you live, how many siblings you have, what does your father do? What does your mother do? Tell them about yourself in totality. Don't just say, my name is Kendra Jumbo, I am 10 years old. No, have a conversation, make it like a conversation. That is that. So mine, they asked me, tell me about your school. Tell me about what you studied in school. Yeah, I think that was what they asked me. I can't remember, but they asked me something related to either school or work, something as a lab scientist. That was what they asked me. They might ask you, tell me about your job, or tell me about your school, what you studied in school. So tell them, tell it as a conversation. That's one. Now, that is for section 1, introduction. Tell me about yourself, blah, blah, blah. Tell me about your work. Section 2, they'll give you a paper. They'll ask you a question on a paper, and they'll give you 1 minute to prepare what you're going to say. And then they'll give you 2 minutes to talk. They'll ask you a range of questions. They might ask you, usually describe something, whether it's an event, usually describe an event. So my time, what they asked me was, what they wrote on the paper was, describe a time that you lost something and found it. They might ask you, describe a pet that you have, or tell us about a birthday gift that you received. Tell us about a time you were disappointed. Tell us about a time you lost hope. It can be to describe any event. So mine, they asked me, tell us about a time that you lost something and found it. I just carved the story there and then. You have to lie. If you don't have a story, don't tell them, I've never experienced this before. Don't even try it. Don't even try it. Tell them, Emma, please, I've not experienced this before. Don't do it. They'll give you 1 minute to prepare. Just form something sharp. Now they'll give you a paper. What you write is what, where, how, and why. What is that thing? Where did it happen? How did it happen? Why did it happen? So for instance, when they ask me, tell us about a time that you lost something. If they ask you this question, they'll give you 2 minutes. Trust me, if you don't tell them a story, you finish before 2 minutes. Okay, they ask you, tell us about a pet that you love. Okay, a pet that I love is my dog, Ronnie. He's 2 years old. I love the dog because it is very playful, full stop. That's like 5 seconds, and you have 2 minutes. The rest of the time, two of you be looking at each other. So please, whatever they ask you, use a story format. That is how it works. Use a story. I told you a story. So they asked me, tell us about the time that you lost something and found it. I started lying. Of course, I lied, because that thing it never happened. So I told them, so it was on 20th of December 2000, when they born my father. I went to this program and I was invited to play the guitar. It was a very lovely environment. The colors of the day were, if you see story, my God, the colors of the day were blue and purple. So I entered there. When it was my time, I'm done rush, take your time and talk. Then when it was my time to come perform, I finished performing. There was a round of applause. Everybody was happy. And then I dropped the guitar to enjoy the rest of the program. I wanted to hold the guitar, but I was told that instruments were not allowed because it was only for people. I went over to the gate and dropped it with the gate man. He assured me that it was going to be safe. I went back and enjoyed the rest of the party. When it was time to go home, everybody was picking their bags from the place they dropped their bags at the gate man's office. I went there to pick my guitar and I remembered and I realized that it was no longer there. I looked around for the gate man. He had closed for the day and I couldn't find my guitar. Story done the finish. Oh, time still there. I was panicking. I was like, God. So at this point, one thing I would suggest to do, you know how Nollywood has part one and part two, and part two to tell your story. So if you realize that your story is coming to an end and there's still time, the woman is still looking at you to be talking, finish your story, but then add however. Okay, let's say you're talking about your dog, your favorite pet. You've talked about either your dog or your pet, how beautiful it is, how you love it, how it's playful, and you realize that it's still time. You can say, however, I lost this dog. Just add part two, add anything. This dog died. Now, talk about how you were going to the road, the dog followed you, a car knocked the dog down, and they carried the dog to the hospital. When they checked the dog, they realized that the dog had cancer. They said to do chemotherapy for the dog. When they finished doing chemotherapy, the dog survived and the cancer came back, but then the dog finally died. If there's still time, talk about the dog's burial. Honestly, just whatever you will say to make sure that you finish that. If you don't continue with that 2 minutes, guy, they will mark you down. If you finish before your 2 minutes, they will mark you down. It's better the invigilator says, oh, it's okay. It's better they stop you at that 2 minutes than for you to stop before 2 minutes. So we're running out of time again. I'm coming to the end of this. Okay, so always add part two to your story. If it is a story about a birthday gift that you've received, okay? So you can talk about how someone bought you. So practice. You can, on your video camera, talk to yourself, choose any topic. There are different topics on this Ielts website. Pick any topic and start talking. Set your timer to 2 minutes. Start practicing. If it's a gift you receive, you can talk about the gift. Maybe you received the laptop. Talk about the environment that led to you receiving the laptop. Oh, my brother bought me. Don't just start with a gift I've received is a laptop. No, you can say I've received a lot of gifts in my life, but the one that stands out the most is a very thoughtful gift that I received from my brother. So I was in school in my second year and we were asked to do a PowerPoint assignment and we all had to use a computer to do this. At this time, I had no computer and I went home. I didn't know how to tell my parents because there was no money at home and they were struggling to even pay my school fees. My brother overheard me talking to my friend about this assignment. And on my birthday, the following week, I had no expectations, but I got a lot of gifts. I was opening these gifts one after the other. One gift stood out the most. It was really big and heavy. On opening this gift, I realized that it was a laptop with a note inside. I'm making this story up now, with a note inside that says, I hope you pass your PowerPoint presentation. I was really shocked. I didn't know who gave me this gift. I started asking all my friends, and then I found out that it was my brother. Almost story done they finish. Oh. You can say, however, this gift did not come alone. I also realized that it came with a camera. Also, my brother had realized that I started a YouTube channel. You start talking about your YouTube channel. Talk about how the camera has helped you. Elongate the story. If there's still time, talk about how the laptop spoiled, how you went to repair it, and how it broke your heart. If there's still time, talk about how you got you another one. Just fake any story. But please, they just want you to be able to communicate. That there's no right or wrong answer. So that is that we have 7 minutes. I want to use this time to entertain any question whatsoever. This class is already very long. If you have any question, raise your hand. I'll ask your question or mute yourself. Let's take it before the time runs out. So that's it. Questions now. Any question? Anybody? No? Okay. This was okay, Victor, you can ask, please.
Please, what's the pass score?
Okay, so IELTS, the highest you can make in IELTS is 9.0, which is very, very rare. A lot of people make like 8.0, 8.5, but depending on what you're using your IELTS for, there is no pass score or failure. Some schools will ask you for 6.0. So all these sections have their scores. You score differently in all sections. Whatever you score in this section, they'll give it to you, and then there will be like an average. So some schools will ask you for 6.5, 7.0, 7.5, but the highest I've seen any school ask me, I think Harvard University, when I was applying to Harvard, they asked for 7.0 and I made 7.5. So it depends on your school. Some schools will ask for 6.5. But if you want to use it to like do like migrate to Canada, like permanent residency, just there's no pass score. The higher you score, the higher your points. If you understand, the lower you score, the lower your points. So whatever, whether you're looking for school or whatever, just target to score high. I was targeting 8.0. Honestly, I was targeting 8.0, but I felt to say 7.5 is very, very high. I've never seen a school that asked me for 7.5. I mean, Harvard University asked me for 7.0. So I made 7.5. I don't know if it was a coincidence. All my sections were 7.5, and then the average was also 7.5. Some people can make 6.0 in reading, make 7.0 in writing, make 6.5 in it depends. Whatever you score in any section, it's different people that are marking it. Computer, sorry, that's what they will give you. But coincidentally, I made 7.5 in all my sections. That's it. There's no pass or, but of course, if you get 5.0, it's low now. 4.0 is low. It's the higher you score, the higher your English proficiency. That's what they assume. So any other question? Okay, Divine Favor, please ask.
Please, what's the sites for the test?
Okay,
Like
registration.
Yes.
BritishCouncil.org. BritishCouncil.org. Go to British Council, look around there. Once you open it, you see IELTS. There are other exams. Just click on IELTS. They'll take you, look for your location, look for centers, test centers, select, pay. You pay there. Please don't register through anybody. And if you know you are going to write IELTS, please register as soon as possible, because once you register, those people would give you materials to study with, and those materials are helpful. British Council would they will tell you to download some materials once you register. So if you want to write next week and you're applying, you want to write tomorrow, register today. No. So register ahead of time. Another thing is you really need to write IELTS, register early so it will push you to study hard. Any other question? So BritishCouncil.com, that is the website to register, pay, do everything. You don't need anybody to register for you. Use your hand, use your phone or your laptop, whatever you have. Any other question?
Is it a full scholarship?
I didn't hear that. Please just repeat yourself.
Please, in choosing the type of test you want to write, is it better you choose the paper or the computer based?
Please choose paper. For your own good, choose paper. If the center you're writing has paper based, choose paper based. It will be easier for you. And it will give you, paper now. When you're doing your writing, you can even go back and make some corrections. Or if you're doing your reading, you can go back and make some corrections, clean some things, and but if you're worried about your handwriting and stuff, and if if you're conversant with computer, if I'm writing now, just choose computer because I can write it from my home. So whatever you're using, just choose what is convenient for you. If you're not too good with the computer, please choose paper based. I did paper based anyway. That was then. Any other questions? So Juliet, you asked something, but if you can type it, fine. I didn't hear what you said. Your network was breaking, and this class will soon end. Any other question? Just ask
I
quickly.
I think she was saying that if the exam is full scholarship or partial or
Please, IELTS is not a scholarship exam. IELTS is an exam to show that you're good in English. And some scholarships would ask you to submit it for them to consider you. It doesn't mean that once you write IELTS, somebody will give you scholarship. No, I beg. Even the scholarship I'm on right now did not ask me for IELTS. That's why I said, don't write IELTS unless you're sure that you need to write IELTS. Please, so don't say I told you to go and write IELTS that you get scholarship. Please, no, that's not what I'm saying. That's why I said, for you to be in this class, it means you already know what IELTS is, and it means you know that you need to write IELTS. Make your research very well, please, before you write IELTS. So we've come to the end of this class. In the absence of any question, the guy that answered that pressure question, like I promised you your recharge card, send me a message on LinkedIn with your name and your phone number. And thank you guys so much. I'm hoping to maybe do a proper IELTS class, that will break things down. If you'll be interested, I don't know if anybody will be interested, but I'm already having headache for this one. So that one you might pay a little thing, because the practice test site, IELTS test online. Let me put this in the chat box. Everyone. So the IELTS test online. So use that, and also the Baron's IELTS. Let me type it as well. Baron's IELTS textbook. So use this website and this textbook. Trust me, you scale through IELTS. Practice, 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 practice. The secret to IELTS is practice. Even if you practice and get 4, practice it, keep on practicing. In fact, practice as much as you can. And I wish you all the best whenever your exam is. And thank you for being here. Bye, everyone.
Sorry, hello.
Hello.
Please, how can we contact you?
LinkedIn, Jumbo Kendra. Facebook, Jumbo Kendra. Everywhere, Jumbo Kendra. Just send me a message anywhere.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Bye, you guys, everybody.